if you're working with a group that you truly have interest and passion for, then yes, you feel good that you worked with them, volunteered your time, and helped somebody. But a true benefit is you help them, and they're going to be a better piece of the puzzle now.
Welcome to the Career Brand Story podcast, where we talk about your career, your brand, and your story. I'm Jeremy Tudor, career strategist, brand marketer, and storyteller that created the Career Brand Story method that has helped thousands of job seekers craft their career brand story for today's job market and land their dream job. Now, while it might seem like something you don't have time for, volunteering during and even after your job search has many professional and personal benefits. Even better, no matter what kind of job seeker you are or the positions that you're looking for, volunteering can help enhance your resume. It can also have a major impact on your job search and professional reputation. And so today, we're going to be talking about why volunteering is good for your career. Really excited to have Sam Lancaster with us. Sam is the marketing director at United Way of East Tennessee Highlands here in Johnson City, Tennessee. He has been at United Way for 2 years, but has prior marketing experience at multiple universities and in professional sports. Sam works in digital marketing and content management. He's interested in involving with the field of balancing strategy and gutsy choices. Welcome, Sam.
Thanks. Yeah, glad to be here.
I want to know more about the gutsy choices.
The gutsy choices, yeah. I think a lot of times when I walk into a new role, and I've been in a number of them, I look to see what's being done, and then I look to see how to change it. And I think a lot of people don't usually accept that super well. You know, they tend to want to do things the way they've always been done. And when you try to bring the innovation side of marketing into it, and a new way to do things, even if it's not new to me, but it's new to the new organization that I'm working with, it can rub people the wrong way sometimes. And so I have to be kind of careful about it, but I also have to figure out a way to introduce the new pieces and the new ideas. And if you classify it as gutsy, it would probably be on the side of it can create some enemies pretty quick.
Okay. Well, I love trial and error. I think that's what marketing's all about these days.
Absolutely.
So you have to do that. We also have Jeb with us. He's a commercial photographer, creative consultant, and our podcast producer, and just all around great guy to know. Hi, Jeb. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing wonderfully today. Happy to be here. Happy to have this sunny weather. I don't know if you're having sunny weather where you are, but we are here near Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah, actually, I rode my bike into work today. Yesterday was stormy, rainy, cloudy, a little kind of chilly. Today felt pretty nice coming into work. So it's nice to have the sunshine. So.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, why don't we just start off just by getting to know you a little bit? What brought you to Johnson City, Tennessee? How long you've lived here? Give us a little background about you.
Yeah. So I've bounced around as far as cities go for a little bit, and grew up right outside of Nashville. Went to University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. My undergrad and my master's both there, so I was there for a total of about 6 years. Moved over to and worked in their athletics department. There was kind of where I got my start in, I guess, what we'd consider professional work. And then moved over to Appalachian State in Boone, North Carolina. So worked there for a little bit, and then moved up out of the collegiate sports industry and over into what people would probably more consider the nonprofit space, and started working with the United Way in Kingsport, which is 25 minutes away from here, still in the Tri-Cities area here. And then from there, moved over to be the marketing director at United Way of East Tennessee Highlands, which covers a little bit broader of a space, kind of centrally located though in the Johnson City area. So what does United Way do? And then what do you do at United Way? Great question. I get that a lot. One of the main questions I actually get asked is, you guys are the ones with the NFL sponsorship, right? I think some people think that's why we exist. But what United Way does is United Way is really designed to be the fundraising arm for a lot of different community nonprofits. So in the most base terms, we work on, raising money on the external side. So we're working in, different companies, different individuals at raising as much as we can to work on the greater piece. So we're not just, taking in and raising money and say, okay, cool, we got X amount of dollars this year, so we're trying to impact lives in the health, education, and financial stability area. So kind of the three-pronged approach that our community impact side takes to, set the three building blocks of life to move the entire community forward.
Okay. And then your role within United Way?
So my role within United Way is, as the marketing director, it's kind of the overall marketing strategy and then the execution. So while we do have, 3+ counties and over $1 million that we raise, I think we topped just over 1.6 in total revenue this past year. We try to put as much of that as possible towards the other nonprofits that we support and the different initiatives we have. So we have one marketing person, which is me. So
okay.
It's kind of up to me to set the strategy and then execute it, and constantly be, adjusting the strategy and executing to match the new adjustments. Because especially the way we've all been recently, like everything's always changing. And so being able to stay flexible has been big.
Yeah. So what's your favorite social media channels that you use for United Way?
For United Way, we do really well on Facebook. I think we have a demographic that uses Facebook a lot. It's got a great chance for a larger organic reach as soon as people start interacting more with it. So that's probably where we do best, which is a place that I like to be, is where we do best. I think the emerging one for us is probably going to be on that LinkedIn side, where we have a lot of our business connections.
Yeah. A lot of organic reach in LinkedIn too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Well, so working in nonprofit, what do you like about it? I mean, does this feel like a really great niche and you really enjoying the work with it? And of course, now I just asked this and it's going to go out. So, right. Yeah, I love my job.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you like
does my board watch or listen to your no, I'm kidding.
Well, welcome to the minefield.
I think nonprofit is a great space because, even if you go back to when I first started trying to even figure out what my major in college was going to be, I always wanted something that was going to help people and something that was fun. And so marketing's where I ended up because I had fun with marketing. I didn't feel like I had to be an accountant because accounting is important and then we can work somewhere that makes an impact. Like I wanted to have fun. Accounting is fun for some people, just not me. So being in that marketing space and constantly being in that mind frame is very fun for me. And then the nonprofit side, I get to work for an organization that helps so many people. I don't even know if we can put a true number on how many people we get to impact each year. So being able to tell the stories of the people that we impact, being able to get more people involved. And one of the more recent pieces that I've kind of been, mentally mapping out and trying to create a plan on how to execute is we kind of have a new CRM system coming in that's more of like a responsive CRM system. So we can talk more with our donors and our base as a whole based on what they're interested in. And so we can open up more conversations, and then past that, we're trying to somewhat create a community of our donors. So we've got thousands, but I could walk in here and potentially not even know that you're a donor because we've never interacted in that way before. So I'm trying to find natural ways for them to interact with each other. So every aspect of it's fun for me. There's no one demographic we're zeroed in on. And there's plenty of ways to always engage people. So there's always something new to find.
So is there ways that you volunteer with United Way, or does United Way connecting volunteers to organizations, or is it just the funding side that you really connect them with?
Yes to the first two, no on the last one. So there is volunteering with United Way. Obviously, our board of directors is a great place to volunteer. We've also had a Women's United group that has kind of been on and off throughout, the COVID situation of not being able to meet. Same with an emerging leaders group. Then we have, just a number of different projects that go on throughout the year. We've got a marketing committee that is currently comprised of a section of our board of directors, but we're looking to expand that as well. we definitely can connect you to other nonprofits in the area that are looking for those volunteer opportunities if we don't have it. So that's definitely an option. But one thing that we're trying not to be, if you don't want us to be, is just a place to give money to.
Right.
So if that's all you want to use us for, I promise we still accept the donation. We're not upset about it. And some people are so busy and so involved and so engaged in so many different things, and they want to kind of give to the mission and the strategy and the vision that we have, that we're fine with that. You're supporting, that's your way to support. There's many ways to support the nonprofits, from the volunteering, the giving, and the advocation of.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, volunteering, certainly can impact you both personally and professionally. How do you see that play out?
I see, and I've seen it played out multiple ways. I think you see people volunteering, the ones that stick around the longest. There are some people that will volunteer like on a one-day basis when they feel really inclined and they get to it and they start to get that taste. But those who stick around the longest, they're volunteering for organizations and for the purpose that they truly believe in. They're not doing it because, I should volunteer, so I'm going to find a way to do so. They're saying, I think this creates a true impact. That's where I'm going to volunteer my time and my efforts. And the more and more they get involved with that kind of thing, the better that individual program gets, the farther it goes forward. They get to keep having more input in it, and it kind of grows and grows and grows. So I've seen it play out so many different ways, from an expanded network to a louder voice in that room the longer you're there, just like any company. And I've seen it play out where somebody says, hey, I'm going to be on this, this committee or this volunteer group or something like that. And they show up very intermittently, and everybody starts to get the sense like, you're not in it as much as we are. And so that consistency of being there every time, I think is very important. If you kind of make that commitment, people will see one side or the other. You'll either be engaged or not really.
Right.
And so I think people really start to feel that difference of, wow, you actually are here. That's the purpose. And, we're like-minded individuals working towards a common goal.
Yeah. I always had this saying. I worked in church ministry for many years, and I always had this saying with like church volunteers is like that you get to serve. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do it, and so there is this privilege of actually being able to do that. And, when it comes to our clients and people we work with, especially in their career branding, a lot of times they're asking like, well, do I include in my volunteer experience? And for me, it's always been about, does it have strategic value? What does that volunteer experience say? And so sometimes, if you're in it, you are gaining some skill sets that maybe you don't have, you're gaining some of those experiences that maybe you didn't have. But I also love the aspect that you build a community and a network, and you just never know where that one conversation could go, simply because you just decided to show up consistently and volunteer, and it could lead to a dream job, right?
Yeah. Right. I think that consistency is a big key to it, because while you're building that network, that professional network is always a piece of you, and they're always looking to you and seeing if you're responsive, engaged, bringing value to the table, in whatever conversation it is. And so that piece of it, they're evaluating that on you before your application even comes in. And so if they see a resume and they recognize the name at the top, the value is now in your name versus, necessarily the exact position you held and the exact bullet points underneath your, job title. The value comes with your name at that point, which is awesome.
Yeah, it was reminding me of the presentation I gave years ago about volunteers, and thinking about what a volunteer means in agriculture. And a volunteer in agriculture is essentially a weed. It's a misplaced seed. But that doesn't mean it's bad. If you have an apple tree that's starting to grow in the wrong spot, if you move it to an apple orchard, then it makes sense and it grows. And so when you're talking about consistency and And, really being in it, that's what that makes me think of, is if you're volunteering in an area that your fruit is needed and you can be there, then it's worthwhile. And that's the one I'd put on my resume or my LinkedIn or something, not the one where I just showed up one weekend to get some ego points.
Right. Yeah. And, the other aspect to it is, I think that people also make networking feel like it's like this really hard thing, because when the word networking comes up, we think cold call. I'm going to go introduce myself to someone I don't know, but networking actually can be really natural, just like if you're volunteering, right? And again, building that community with like-minded people, working on the same cause, and just doing something together.
Yeah. There's definitely a difference between, networking with the sole intention of creating more relationships to get that next job. I've seen that. I've quite honestly been a part of that. When I was in the college athletics, there's multiple ways to talk to other administrators and other athletics departments and learn and connect, and even different mentorship programs that you can say, like, hey, I want to mentor, I want to be the mentee, so we can create a relationship. I can somewhat use your network, and it's purely, I'm trying to find that next job, and I think you can kind of help me get there, and so I'm going to expand that reach. And I think that's where the volunteering aspect, especially in a local market, can add more value than that, because you can see, okay, I'm not just here to try to get the next job. I'm not putting on a front to say, hey, you should, suggest me for the next job you hear open or anything like that. You're truly working on what you believe in. And so you're with those, like we've said, like-minded individuals that have those same goals, have common, thoughts and opinions, and you mesh well with. And that creates the natural network versus the next job hiring network.
Yeah. And I also think about the emotional component. Volunteering is a feel good thing when you've done a good thing, right? And so, I think that especially, I think it's been hard. Probably in the pandemic, people haven't been able to physically go and volunteer in the places that they want to. I know my parents volunteer at a huge center in Cincinnati and hadn't been able to do that. And I can see like a play on their mental health over the last year. Like that was an important part of their rhythm in the given week. And so I think there's a huge benefit that we can miss if we don't have those outlets where we can kind of give back. If you're in a job search, if you're working even in a toxic environment and a hard job, man, one of the best things you can do is go to a place that you volunteer and you're loved and you belong and feel like you're contributing.
Right. Just step back into a comfort zone where you feel, I guess, appreciated again, to be able to be back in that space. But, I've definitely seen where, different organizations, especially the ones around youth, is they've been at home, they've been on Zoom, and there's been less opportunity for people to be involved with them and do that kind of thing. I've also seen people that say, look, I'd love to start volunteering, but I have no idea what to do. I don't, it sounds bad because they always stutter through saying it. And they say, I don't really like working with kids. And that's okay. Some people just aren't built that way, so, what else can I do? And it's always like, what's your passion? What's your true interest? If I sat you in a room with, books, computers, etc., what are you going to look up and learn about? And so whatever you're naturally learning about and looking for, look for that kind of thing, and then go contribute it where you can. So, and I'll give you an example. Like right now, it's tough for me to work at United Way and go volunteer at our member agencies because we don't want to show favoritism one way or another through our staff going and, providing additional volunteer hours, because then, others might pop in and say, well, you help them extra, why not help us extra? And so we try to keep our hands as clean as possible when it comes to that kind of thing. But We also try to stay involved with areas that we don't necessarily give money to, that most people don't think about the volunteer aspect, which is our local chambers. So I'll jump on a committee with our Chamber of Commerce to, work on and one I'm on right now is for the development of young professionals, how to get more young professionals in the area. And people are thinking, well, that's not what I think of when I think of volunteering, but that's exactly what it is. That's a secondary interest that I have other than, our local nonprofit. We've got dual interest in it because, more people that come to the area, more people that work the higher paying jobs, the better chance we have of raising money. And so, sure, you could claim that there's an ulterior motive, but at the end of the day, I have an interest in small business. I have an interest in growing the local economy here, like many, many people would. And so it's a natural fit for me to, go to our chamber and say, hey, look, I'm a marketing professional at, this organization, this company, whatever. I have a common interest in growing the local economy. You guys are kind of responsible for doing your best to grow the local economy. Is there any way that you could use my help? I'm here for free kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so there's more ways than going to what most people view as the nonprofits of your food banks and your children's after school care and stuff like that. You don't have to be necessarily interested in that, but whatever you are interested in, take that skill, figure out exactly what it is, and try to provide that to somebody who could use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to make the point that, we've talked a little bit about if you're in a job that's soul crushing and you go volunteer someplace, that can be a healthy choice for you. But for people like me who are solopreneurs, a lot of ways that I volunteer are just on passion projects. I'm a photographer. Even if it's something that I have come up with that I want to work on, and I do that on a volunteer basis, like putting what you have to offer in the world typically ends up helping somebody, if you're, at least if you have good value alignment. And for me, my gain is not just what I've gained for feeding my soul, but also that work gets seen by other people who want to pay you. So if you're in a, that kind of position where you're working solo for yourself, you can still volunteer doing the thing that you love, doing the thing that you're passionate about, and get that art out in the world.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that kind of volunteer of skill and profession grown when somebody comes in and they say, hey, if you need a photographer for an event or something, just give me a call. I'll come by, shoot some pictures, shoot them to you after, and you'll have them. And they come to the event. Obviously, photographers are seen and stuff like that. Eventually, somebody says, man, these are great pictures. Who did these? And you tell them, chances are whoever asked you is probably not a nonprofit. They're a donor, a board member, somebody else that is looking to hire a photographer for a different event. And so it can definitely be a way for somebody like Jeb or, another, solopreneur that has that photography, videography type style to get their work out there a little bit more in front of some people that they're not usually in front of, and see if that, quality would drive, future deals.
Yeah. I mean, Jeb volunteers just to be my friend.
It's a tough job.
It is. He doesn't gain anything from it, though.
That's difficult.
He won't even sit in the same room as you yet.
No,
we're separated.
That's why I live in Fuquay or work in Fuquay Varina. Keep away.
Oh, so do you think that, let me ask it this way. What do you think makes a good volunteer?
I think somebody who's interested in what they're doing and is willing to, bring that to the table. Like I said, find something you're interested in, figure out what your, passion is to learn and grow in, and bring that to the table. Whoever can do that, and obviously like work together in a group or in a one-on-one scenario. But, at the end of the day, it's a relative question to what makes a good, employee. You're looking for somebody who's contributing. You're looking for somebody who brings a level of expertise, and you're hoping they're a team player when you need them to be, but if you need to run solo on a project, whether it's a direct one-on-one mentorship kind of thing, then they work on that. But I think as long as you're interested, engaged, and bringing what you have to the table, I think you'll be valued.
Yeah. So where would you suggest if someone was just getting started in the world of volunteering, with your connection working at United Way and what happens and is taking place here around the Tri-Cities area, and United Way, is there chapters, or how's that work across the country?
Yeah, I think you could consider them chapters. I'm not sure what we officially call them. Okay. But it's, we do have different offices, different locations, and we all have our own leadership. There is the portion of us that we do have to run check steps with, United Way Worldwide. And then we kind of have our own community. We, all of the United Way of Northeast Tennessee, we all know each other, whether we're in Johnson City, Kingsport, Bristol, we even know a good group in Southwest Virginia. So, we all know each other here locally, but then we have a statewide association where we know each other and we can make connections from, let's say that you were going to move from here to Chattanooga, we could jump on a call with them and say, hey, Jeremy's coming down. Here's what he's been doing with us, that kind of thing. So we definitely have a network of United Ways ourselves. But I would say that if you're looking for, I know what I want to do, I want to help with XYZ, whatever you find your passion to be and your hard interest, then take that. And if you know where to go, then you know where to go, and that's, you're great. But if you're like, I just have no idea where to go, I would look at definitely United Way, just because of the amount of connections that most of them have back to their own agencies. We get messages through our Contact Us page. We've had just people email in and say, hey, I want to start volunteering. Here's what I'd like to do or who I'd like to help. And we try to get that over to them to, let them fulfill that. The worst thing you can do is put somebody in a volunteer, role that they don't like, because then they're going to stop. So I definitely think that a United Way is a good option. I know across the country, and I probably shouldn't say this as a United Way person, but United Way may not always be the most prominent, flag pole in the community. Sometimes there is a community chest or a community foundation or something of that nature that also has a very good stronghold in that community. And if that's kind of how your area is, if you, think there's a better foundation, reach out to them, because they do a similar role. They, raise the money, they vet the organizations they give the money to, they take a holistic view at everything, sees how it all works together to make sure that there's, not a ton of duplication of services, but everything is covered, and, they put it in. So if United Way is not the most strong in your area, which I hope it is, because that's, who I believe in and who I'm here for. But if it's not the end of it. There probably is somebody who is working to help move your community forward. And I would say go that angle. If you're more on that business mindset, I would definitely go towards the chamber.
Yeah, I was just trying to look up. I know that also LinkedIn has their social impact is like LinkedIn for Good. And so you can actually put on your profile, like you can say that you're interested in volunteering.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to look up. So we'll have to do a tutorial video of this later on. But and so, if you didn't know this, from a nonprofit standpoint, I think you can search people based on their wanting to volunteer.
Based on like what they're interested in? Yeah.
So when I worked for the director of recruitment for Special Olympics, we tied in with LinkedIn for Good. And they actually gave us so many volunteer slots. So instead of like job slots, we had volunteer slots that we could use. I don't know if they still do that or not. It's been
I hope they do.
A few years
That sounds awesome.
But they partner definitely with nonprofits in a way to help it be beneficial to them. And I forget, there's hundreds of thousands of people that have on their profile like, hey, I'm looking to volunteer, whether on the board or do something in it. So there's a searchable function. We'll do some research.
We may need to figure that out ourselves.
Yeah, I'll do some searching and figure that out. We'll do a short video about how you can add that to your profile as well. So on the LinkedIn, what I do know is that if you go and search jobs, so there's a little briefcase, and you go and search jobs, there is an actual job type. So you can choose your type and you just click volunteer and it will bring all the volunteer opportunities up. And then you can search by category, area, location, and all of that. So if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, that's a great way to do it. And if you are a nonprofit needing to advertise, I think you need to connect with LinkedIn for Good, because my suspicion is that you can list your volunteer opportunities for free.
That would be great. And we were not aware of that. So that's definitely something we need to look into ourselves and potentially take to our, other nonprofits that we work with in the area and say, hey, look, if you're struggling to, get volunteers, put this out there and see if you can, capture a few more.
Yeah. And I think that LinkedIn for Good will potentially what you can access. Again, I don't know if they charge you for the service or not. When I worked for Special Olympics, we got this for free because we were a nonprofit. That was a huge, big humanitarian cause. So I don't know the finer details of it. I know we got there and really appreciate LinkedIn for that. But they gave us a recruiter seat. So then I could go in and actually search for people for volunteers.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I love when, our social medias or even just what I consider like tech giants get involved and they say, hey, look, we make a ton of money. We're good. What service do you guys need? And we'll create a solution for it. And I think that's what they've done there. I've seen Google do it in a few ways too, through the Google ad grants. So for, nonprofits that aren't familiar with it, if you want to run Google ads, you can apply. And from what I've heard, most likely get a $10,000 Google ad grant.
Yeah.
So
nice.
I love that they do that.
And there used to be a way in LinkedIn. I'll keep searching for this, but as the volunteer-e, there used to be a way that you could click and say that you're open to volunteer opportunities, which then if you as the volunteer organization had that recruiter license seat, that data would transfer and you would find those people.
Yeah. So, that would be awesome.
So definitely something to be thinking about, there as well. What kind of commitment does a person need to make them ready to volunteer?
That's a great question. I think it once again varies, a little bit. We can, go back to where it's a one-off and you're volunteering today. This is, your one chance to jump in and volunteer and be a part. And let's say you're gonna, serve meals at a, soup kitchen style or a homeless shelter or something like that. And you can volunteer once and feel better about it, but also provide value to those who need it. I know that with children, there's a number of studies out there, and I'm actually getting, this is one of the great parts of being at United Way versus being at solely in a specific area, so I can steal from our different agencies. But they've put out that studies are showing that if you're not willing to commit at least a year to working with youth, as if you're in that mentorship type role, then it's better off to not do it in the first place for the kid. So that comes back to do what you're passionate about so that you don't feel like, oh, I have to go do that again. So if you're passionate about children, giving them a better, leg up in areas they may not have it, and you want to jump in that mentorship role, it is vital that you do that for at least a year, because chances are this child has already had so many letdowns in their life. And if you sign up to be a mentor, you show up once and then you fade away. For lack of a better way of putting it, you're just one more in their eyes. Right. Just one more thing that puts them down. They didn't like me. They didn't care. Chances are you got busy, something happened. But if you're going to jump into that kind of role, you need to commit at least a year to that, organization, the children that you're working with and that kind of thing, to truly have a relationship and somebody they can depend on. I know as if you're going to join like a board of directors on a volunteer basis, definitely a year. There can be things, extenuating circumstances. Of course, we had a board member who moved out of state. And for us, since we're so locally based, doesn't really make sense for him to try to continue being on our board while living in Michigan, so
right.
That it's just a natural. We understand he got a new job and we say, hey man, it's been great having you. We understand. We hope you get reconnected up there with that United Way, since you do believe in it. But I would say a year is a good time frame if you want to dip your toes in the water. Take a look around at some upcoming events. If you're seeing a 5K come up for one of the local nonprofits and you say, I want to start volunteering, I'll reach out and see if they need help at that. And you can kind of dip your toes in the water, see what it's about, see how you get treated. You'll feel that initial appreciation, really, that Jeb mentioned earlier of, I was there. They were really appreciative that I was there. You probably got thanked more than when somebody was, paying you to go shoot that event, because they didn't have that before, and now they do. So that appreciation is higher typically. And it only took, well, for a photographer, most people see that it only took a few hours of work. We know Right. He goes back and edits them, or at least we hope he does.
Right.
No way. Everything is perfect right out of my camera.
I give photographers and videographers a ton of credit for the after work. But that's a good way to kind of dip your toes in the water and see how it goes, and then say, you're interested in being more involved. You probably had a contact that you were already talking to. You can jump back out and say, hey, I was a volunteer at your 5K or whatever, your marathon, your half, whatever it was. I'd love to see if there's a way that I could get more involved. Here's what I do. Is there anything that I can do that would be of value to you?
Yeah, that's great. Well, what do you think are some of the top benefits of volunteering that can have on someone's career?
I think probably the top benefits that come for me, at least, or the ones I've at least seen, are that natural network that we were talking about, not necessarily the network just to get the next job, because that network will typically fade away at some point, where your natural network won't, because of your common interest. The fact that a lot of ways moving forward what you want to move forward. If you're working with a group that you truly have interest and passion for it, then yes, you feel good that you worked with them, volunteered your time, and helped somebody. But a true benefit is you help them, and they're going to be a better piece of the puzzle now, right? And so that's, for example, with the chamber, if I'm working with them to bring local businesses here, which, that's not the role I'm in right now, but let's use that as an example. Then as more local businesses come in, more jobs are created. There's a higher, income. And so you're impacting people. You may not have been intentionally impacting individuals, but you made the community a better place to live. And I think that is hard to grasp for a lot of people, especially on the younger side, because, I feel like I can say this because I'm a millennial, but we want that instant gratification, right?
Right.
And that doesn't necessarily always come with it.
Right.
So you have to be able to see it. So I definitely think the natural network, the better community is definitely one. Refining your skills is always a big one for me too, because I constantly work with United Way marketing, right? That's the bubble that I'm in for a majority of my day, to where when I jump out and volunteer with others, I can start to see, okay, how can I use my skill to help them, and my mindset to help them, and say, this is your demographic. Okay, here's how we can attack that. And so we can, be able to use our skills in different ways with different organizations to get better at them, really, and use them in different ways and be more creative with them.
Yeah.
So I think, those are definitely the top ones for me.
Yeah. And I don't mean to sound cliche on this, and I know a lot of places have used this phrase and stuff, but in everything you just said, it's, we're better together.
We are. And that's, if you go back to the very, very base of United Way, I want to say it was started out in Colorado. I'll throw Denver, because I'm pretty sure that's right. The United Way historians can correct me on that if I'm off. But the purpose was to bring together multiple pieces of the community, that everybody could provide something, but they understood how much better it was that they worked together in bringing that common goal in.
Yeah.
And so I think that works great with United Way, but I think it works great with any part of any nonprofit in any community, bringing together people, because no one person can do it on their own.
Yeah. Well, this episode is sponsored actually in part by Enter Your Fellowship. It's a nonprofit here in Johnson City. Are you a college graduate or a college at at least 21 years old? Are you seeking to understand how to best participate given your unique gifts, talents, and desires? Well, maybe you should consider taking an intentional gap year to gain clarity. Enter Year Fellowship. It's a year-long opportunity for young adults who are committed to living in an intentional Christian community with like-minded individuals focused on discerning their vocation. Each fellow will serve in a nonprofit ministry that is committed to social change, gaining valuable and hands-on experience. And they're actually accepting 22 applications right now. This is a full year commitment. Talking about that commitment, it's a full year commitment to a community of like-minded individuals that are committed to participating in exploring the process of discernment. Not for the faint of heart. This year is going to require flexibility, patience, discipline, self-motivation, and a genuine desire to serve others. If you're interested in applying for this gap year program, you can apply today at enteryear.org/apply. So, Sam, I really appreciate you just sharing today around volunteerism, learning a little bit more about the United Way. As our first-time guests, we always ask all of them the same question. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, I hope that's a long time from now. For me, I don't have a specific, company, organization, job title, or anything like that I want. I think a lot of that can be, somewhat superficial, I guess, of like if they called me the marketing guy at work, I'd be fine. So I'm not looking for a certain title or anything. Mm-hmm. I think what I want to do is I want to be, at the base of it, I want to be a connector, and whether that's a connector of, two different ideas to people, or just, the past and the present, to be able to bring forward something new. I love the ability to, open two different boxes, put something new together, and put it out there. And I think that can be, two different individuals, or it can be two different strategies or ideas mixed together to create something new. So at the end of it, I think I want to be a really, really solid connector, and whatever I can use that for, to best add value to, not just myself, but, whoever I'm working with, in whatever community I'm in.
I love it. Well, this wraps up our time here today. I want to thank Sam for being with us today. Also, thanks to McKay Leslie as a contributor writer to this podcast. And thanks to Jeb, who makes us just sound and look like pros. You can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Just search for Jeremy Tudor, and on Instagram at Jeremy T. Tudor. And make sure you also, if you're on TikTok, go follow me on TikTok. I'm having a lot of fun over there. Just search for Jeremy Tudor. And while many of you listen to this podcast, because that is what a podcast is for, you can also watch each episode. We have a new landing page, thecareerbrandstory.com. Just go there and you can find the podcast on your favorite listening platform. You can watch it on YouTube. We would really love for you to subscribe, like, follow, do all of the things you need to do over on YouTube, so that every time a new episode comes out, you are the first to know about it. Sam, where can people find with you and connect with you?
I think the best way to find and connect, I appreciate that, is back on LinkedIn. I think that's a great, has been a great space for me so far to be able to connect with people and, find people locally and, kind of across, our nation, to be able to connect with like-minded individuals in a digital space. So I love using, the LinkedIn platform and being able to connect with people there.
All right. So just look up Sam Lancaster, United Way, and he will pop up.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
If I'm doing my job right, I sure hope so.
We found you there. Perfect. Connected. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And Jeb, where can people find you and connect with you?
Everywhere you want to be. My handle is at JebGraff, JEBBGRAFF, and you can find me on my website at jebgraff.com.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and keep thriving.
If you're interested in advertising your business on our podcast, we advertise for local and national companies. Contact McKay at careerbrandstory.com for more information. That's MCCAY at careerbrandstory.com.